Yes, welcome back, family. I'm here just to drop a little short few words of something that was on my mind. It's very personal for me, and it kind of shares my mindset at this junction point in my life. And this thought stems from a deep conversation that I had with a really close friend of mine that I've known for many decades, a long time. I've known them from single digit ages, very long. And we were speaking about the different things that have forged us and help us to grow. And we both had similar experiences growing up in New York City. And like I said, I had a father who taught me so much and put me ahead where I knew to build discipline. I knew to analyze situations. I knew that you just don't jump in head first with emotion. And especially with the help of my mother, to show me how to discern spirits and understand spiritual warfare, and to really focus on building yourself up regardless. But I grew up learning early that the world doesn't hand in anything to you as a man, and especially a melanated black man coming up in New York City. Through experience and observation and a strong father, my mother too, but as a man, you come up under strong male or manhood training. Even if it's not your father, it could be an uncle, a neighbor, a mentor, but somebody who puts into you what the female energy can't. And I do take off my hat to the women who have done their best, but it's better with two, the full range. So life taught me fast that strength has nothing to do with the showing off or trying to look tough. How many guys we know try to look tough in the neighborhood, physically tough and intimidating, and as soon as they get punched in the face, they're running away crying. But there's more to being tough and strong than that. My strength came from silence, from watching. Now, aside from my father and mother, from learning and from surviving things many people never saw. On the show the other night, a young lady from Chicago was saying she knows I've gone through much more than I let on to. And yes, that's true. And her saying that and acknowledging that, symbolically, it brought me to tears. I didn't cry, but I felt that feeling like, wow, she sees it. And we have people out here like that who can pick up on your energy, and kind of know things, even in passing. When they know you for a short time, they can see that, I didn't grow into who I am because life was easy. I didn't suffer like other people suffered in certain areas. But emotionally, and the things that I've been through and witnessed and have been scarred, the scars you don't see, I became this version of myself by facing storms alone and realizing that nobody was coming to save me but me, right? As a young man, I learned that discipline was something you build in private. Not because I was a competitive bodybuilder and won lots of trophies and a couple of titles, but that was the end result of the discipline that was instilled in me, and I had a very supportive family. My parents supported me with anything I wanted to do, whether it was guitar lessons in single digit ages, piano lessons. Of course, I did the art and I was pretty good at it, and I still am. Some of you know me as an artist, some of you don't. Dig deep, Lancescurv X, you'll see it. There's a section for the artwork, and I haven't put up everything yet. But discipline was instilled in me, and anything I touch in a disciplined way will work. You see what I mean? So aside from my inner circle, nobody clapped for me when I woke up early to get things done, right? Nobody praised me for choosing the right thing when the wrong thing was calling my name. My parents clapped for me. My parents praised me. That's all I needed. But in the world, nobody. Right? You get a good word from a friend or not, but for the most part, it was in-house, and I carry that within me, and nobody can take that away. My life became a collection of small choices, quiet actions, and lessons learned the hard way. But I didn't make much bad decisions, but the lessons that I learned the hard way didn't just have to happen from my poor choices. It happened from me observing and learning from other people's bad choices and decisions. So I learned it too, because I knew what to look out for. And over time, those choices shaped me into a man who walks with a calm that people sometimes misunderstand. I've had to insulate myself. You just can't get emotional over every little thing, because that's not effective at all. But coming from where I come from, and again, I didn't come up in a ghetto neighborhood, a rough neighborhood. At the time, it was a middle class neighborhood. Everybody was working. After a while, crack cocaine took over. But by that time, I was formed into who I am as far as the discipline is concerned, and those things didn't touch me. But it wiped out my generation for the most part, you see. But the heavy responsibilities I saw and streets that taught boys to grow up fast, I had a protection from that, but I was still close to it. I learned to study myself because losing control wasn't an option. One mistake in New York City at that time, and many other big cities, it's not just New York, but one bad mistake, your life can be thrown away, dead, life in prison, some kind of circumstance. But strength for me became the ability to stay centered even when my world wasn't. And as I grew older, people started calling that distance. People that didn't really know me. Well, he's so cold, he's so distant, he's standoffish. They called it coldness, but they didn't understand it was survival. Because I thought more toward the future. You see, make your right decisions now. Don't get around certain people. Don't get provoked. Can't do that. And I'm still here. And I'm still complimented for seeming to having more gas in my tank at this particular chronological age. I was riding with an Uber guy today. We got into a deep conversation, and we spoke about energy. We spoke about being willing to help others, which brings you back dividends on a spiritual level when you do it sincerely and you're not looking back for anything. We got deep into certain things, and the brother was brilliant, right? But I've carried a lot in silence. Not because I'm made of stone, but because life taught me that complaining doesn't fix anything. As a black man, showing pain was often treated like weakness, especially with people that don't know you. And weakness wasn't something the world ever allowed me to have. You gotta suck it up and keep on stepping. So I learned to process things quietly, to keep moving even when I was hurting. My silence became my armor, my shelter, my way of staying whole in a world that often tried to break me. And this is what people don't understand, those hidden things. I'm not going to cry victim, because I know that my Creator never allows things to happen with me or to me that He didn't equip me to handle. So anything that comes to me as a challenge, because I don't like to say the word problem. Like I always say, the word problem is heavy, and it's something that makes you want to lay down somewhere and just give up. I have a challenge because I'm a champion. And I have a challenge because God put in me the ability to surmount that challenge, to climb over that mountain, to fly over that mountain, right? It's just that we may not know we have the ability as of yet for that new assignment. But when you have the assignment of a challenge, which many people call problems, there's a way to figure it out, right? It's like I play this game called Ball Sort, BALLSORT. And It can break your mind if you let it, but there's always a way to whip that game. And I go through it effortlessly because I know there's some kind of way to go to the next highest level. So since I switched up my phone, I was like at level 100, whatever. And now I'm back up to 60 quickly. And it just gets me started in an abstract way of thinking and seeing things. And it's like a warm up. It's like a fighter in a dressing room, right? Warming up before he gets to the real fight. But back to the point, the truth is simple. Everything I've survived, everything I've carried, and everything I've overcome didn't make me emotionless. It made me aware of who I am, aware of what I need, aware of what I refuse to allow into my life. And that awareness shaped the man that I am today. Whatever I am to you, whatever you think, it may not be the authentic thing, but I know what I have on the inside. And I've been aware to stay away from energies that are shallow, that are venomous. And when you're venomous towards somebody else, to me, you can be venomous toward me or gossip. And it is what it is. So lots of times I end up walking alone. That's just the way it is. But I've reached a point in my life where my peace matters more than anything else. I've been in situations where chaos felt normal, where drama felt expected, and where I had to lose myself just to keep the peace with others. No, I promised myself I would never ever live that way again. Compromising your peace to keep the chaos around you, which has nothing to do with you, ultimately stabilized. You'll be forever drained. There's so much into this art of living a full life and coming home with a full tank, meaning that, and I'll say it again, and I've said it in past videos, that think of yourself as a cell phone, a smartphone, that when you leave your home, you have a 100% charge. And your goal is to come back home with a 100% charge. Although you know you're going to lose energy dealing with people and trying people out there, right? So it's if you come home with 93%, 89%, but if you come home with 13% or 19% or 2%, you're living wrong. You're doing something wrong. You see what I mean? So you got to protect your peace. Peace is not a luxury to me. Peace is my oxygen. I protect it the way a man protects his home, firmly and without apology. That's just the way it is with me. People sometimes see me alone and think I don't care. They think I don't feel. They think I don't want love, connection, or companionship. But that's not the truth. The truth is that I've learned what it costs to keep the wrong people close. I've learned how expensive it is to let someone disturb your spirit, drain your mind, or pull you off your path. That is like the ultimate. When you look back and you realize that you had a path and you allowed somebody to pull you off that path and you can't get that time back. I'm not afraid to be alone. I'm afraid of losing myself, right? That's the ultimate. You give a friend or a mate or relationship so many years of your life and you think there's reciprocation or caring and they're only using you, and you realize you gave all these years and you had great potential inside of you that you should have been working on. Anybody who cares for you or loves you or has the best wishes for you, they're going to want to see you develop yourself, which means you're going to have to spend time to yourself and contemplate every move. But if somebody's draining you, no, they're not in your corner. I feel things deeply. Anger, sadness, joy, fear, love. On a basic level. I'm not running around here scared when I say fear because I know how to deal with that. Anything that tries to put fear in me, I'm going to put the fear right back in them because I run toward fear. See, love and joy and, you know, all the other stuff, beautiful. But if something thinks it's going to scare me, that's the thing you have to conquer. Because oftentimes you have one shot at conquering that fear when it faces you. And then after that, if you let it destroy you, you're just going to be forever scared and ruled by that. No. It's like the time, it was August, I think it was August 17th, 1980. And I woke up and there was a man standing over me in my room. It frightened me at first, the darkened room. He came through the window, which was by the front of the house. In summertime, or the end of summer was coming, but it was still warm. We had our windows, you know, the screens were down, but the windows were up. Different kind of neighborhood. This guy must have been through the block party 2 days before or a day before, and saw my trophies and saw the posters and kind of saw it through the hedges and it looked like, what's going on there? So I think this guy was on heroin or something, and he came into the room. Now, I jumped up out the bed when I realized, and I think I broke one of his ribs. And basically, it's a long story, but I released him. My mother came into the room. She was scared. Not that he was going to do anything, but he was on his way to not breathing because I got him in a hold, a bear hug hold, and I wouldn't let him breathe. She thought I was going to kill him. And the way I was screaming, and she never heard me cuss before, but that was the first time she heard me cuss. I was so embarrassed about it, but I felt violated. You don't come into my home. I'm not tough man in the street. I can be if I'm cornered, but you come on my property, you violate me that way in my home. I learned that that's inside of me. My father put that in me. And she was crying. She said, let him go, please don't kill him. You're going to go to prison, whatever. And I'm like, I let him go. You know, he went out the front door. And I think he was crawling after a while, grabbing his side. But what I'm saying is that I could have punked out. So, oh my God, somebody's in the room here, whatever. And I was fast asleep. But there's a street light outside that would shine into my room from that one window. And my eyes were closed and I was sleeping, but something kept breaking that light because it was standing over me and I was curled up like a little baby in the bed. But I was already into bodybuilding competition already a year and a half and more years in that training. And I was strong back then. A little bit still strong now, but yeah, I don't play. And I had other situations. That next night, I was riding my bike and somebody pulled up next to me. It was a car and I saw a gun in the guy's lap. And there were two guys in the front and a girl in the middle. It was like a long bench seat in this old Ford Falcon. And I was trying to like get over or just like what happened the night before. The guy come in my room. Now I'm up at night all the time and I'm not that I don't feel safe, but now I'm alert at night, and it was harder for me after, you know, the next night. Mistaken identity, I thought, and somebody tried to kill me. Right? So there was a girl in the middle crying and they said, is that him? Is that him? They rode up next to me when I was riding in the street. And this was like about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. But, you know, crack didn't come around into Queens at that particular point. And, you know, things were safer. And I had a friend of mine who lived a couple doors down. He was riding with me because he would say, hey, man, if you want to stay up, let's do something. It's okay. So when that happened, I told my friend, listen, whoever this is, they coming for me, go the opposite direction. So he was asking, what's going on? What's going on? I said, man, no, because they pulled up like 6 car lengths ahead of me. Mind you, I'm 17 years old, and the night before, somebody broke into my room. Now I see a gun and somebody's trying to kill me. I knew what it was too. I said, oh, somebody did something to that girl. And they're trying to come back at me, but it wasn't me. So anyway, I turned around, got down in the subway, jumped over the tracks. I've told that story a lot of times. I stepped on some rats near the third rail. I could have died if I moved and touched that third rail. Frightening, adrenalized. So anyway, what ended up happening was that we found out that that girl was a full-bodied grown woman, but she was developmentally delayed. And a lot of guys were taking advantage of her in the neighborhood, but she couldn't handle a full woman's body. And so she was allowing these guys to come over to the house when nobody was home. I think she's like 23 years old, whatever. And she was a beautiful young lady. Now what happened was that same block party that spawned that guy to come breaking my house quietly, she came through and she was dancing. And she ended up being a girl that I danced with. I only danced with her for like maybe 20 seconds in passing. So I didn't know that she was developmentally delayed. I didn't try to get at her or whatever. She just came through and pushed up on me, and I danced and we laughed and she kept going, but I didn't really know her. So when she said, yes, that's him, in her young mind, it's like, oh, I know him. Yeah, that's him. But I didn't, essay her. And later on, she was found dead on the side of the highway, not too far from where she lived. And a lot of the guys in the neighborhood were sneaking up in there. The mailman, the milkman, everybody was over there getting it. I didn't even know her like that. So like I said, I can tell you a million stories of things that, situations I've been in that were frightening, scary, and, hurtful and stuff like that. But you keep moving on. It just makes you stronger, and that's the way, it is. So I feel all these things and I think about things, and there's certain realities I don't want to experience again. I learned my lessons, but it is what it is. But I've seen how words spoken in anger can wound. When you talk bad about somebody, I see how impulsive choices can ruin what you've worked hard to build. You do something on an impulse tip and end up in lockdown. So you're walking on a tightrope on a windy day with no safety net. And there are many people who don't understand the atmosphere of America or New York City, especially at that time, that even mistaken identity with the police or some woman accusing you, it's a different thing like out here where I am in the motherland. The sense of community, the sense of caring, certain things you just don't have. And I never use these things, for an excuse. But like I said, impulsive choices can ruin what you've worked hard to build. So you step careful, so I step back, I breathe, I think, not because I'm cold, but because I'm responsible. That's why I've made it this far. A lot of things could have caught me up, but I knew how to dodge it, right? People confuse calm with emptiness, but my calm is full of lessons, full of feelings, full of discipline that took years to earn, right? It may have been where you see it through bodybuilding or the way I live, avoiding trouble, but it's on so many deeper levels that I've forged now. And I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the discipline. It does have dividends. It does pay you back when you're over the hump. But people often depend on men like me. I'm not saying I'm all that, but they come to people like me when their worlds are falling apart. Whatever world it may be, just advice, my job, my relationship, my household. And it's not like I have the answer for everything, but they know me, for being steady, for staying steady. They trust the calmness of somebody like me. They lean on our strength. And many people will envy you for that, the consistency of having that demeanor, but it's well earned. I've been through the academy of life, trust me. And over time, they forget that we're human too. I've been that silent support for so many people, holding them up while my own legs were shaking. I never complained, but that doesn't mean I didn't feel the weight of what was going on. And people can take you for granted because of that. Life taught me that if I wait for applause, I'll wait forever. So I don't look for it. I really never did. It comes from within. I built my life quietly, from discipline, from consistency, from mistakes that taught me what not to do, and learned from it, while many people don't. I found purpose in steady growth, not in trying to impress anyone. So last thing I do. With me personally, the more layers you pull back, the more you might be impressed. There's things that the world doesn't even know that I can do. talents and abilities and just on so many different levels that I don't go out there, I can do this and I can do that. But people find out stuff. They say, I never knew you did this, or I never knew you did that. It's better that way, right? My joy now comes from building a life that feels honest from the inside out, not from other people's opinions. I don't look for it. Never did. I just do what I do, and you find out. I had a buddy of mine many years ago. He grew up with me. He was a friend of a friend, and the other friend is like 4 years older than me. So he was a friend of a friend. So we weren't the primary guys that we hung out with, right? But because of the mutual friend, then we knew each other really good. And one day we were in Manhattan, and it was late at night. I kind of ran into him. I was going out there to look for some magazines and stuff, but I ran into him, and I pulled up a magazine because this is when I was doing bodybuilding competition. I said, hey, check this out, man. He said, that's you? I said, yeah. He says, I didn't know you lifted weights with it because I always kept myself covered. And when I was around him, because we didn't primarily hang out with each other, but whenever I saw him or we happened to be in the same place and hung out with each other, he never knew. See, things I do, I don't really push it. I don't even look for attention with these things. Forget material things. That's never been me. It's about my character. It's about talents and different things and different conversations that I can have, right? I'm just telling the world right now what makes me me and revealing myself a little bit as far as how I move, right? But as I look back on my life, from the streets of New York, and I don't mean streets like I was a street guy, but you have to deal with the streets. So I say it that way. From the streets of New York to who I've become today, I realize that my journey has been shaped by silence, by resilience, and by choices that nobody saw. I didn't become strong by wanting to be admired. I became strong because life demanded it. Every challenge, every heartbreak, oh God knows I've had some heartbreaks. Every lonely night built me inwardly. If people only knew the battles I've fought behind closed doors, the nights I laid awake wondering how much more I could carry, the mornings when I got up anyway, they would understand that my silence isn't distance, it's survival, it's wisdom, it's the foundation beneath my feet. What I want most now is simple: peace, purpose, honesty, and real connections, not chaos. Not confusion, not relationships that tear me down. I'd rather walk alone on a steady road than walk with a crowd that leads me nowhere. Solitude doesn't scare me. Losing myself does. I've learned that the world may never fully understand the weight a strong man carries, especially a black man who has had to stay firm in places designed to break him. But even if the world doesn't understand, I understand myself, and that's enough. So I keep moving forward. I keep building. I keep choosing peace over noise, purpose over approval, and truth over performance. I don't need applause for the life I've built. I don't need validation for the man I've become. I stand in my story, proud of every scar, and especially proud of every victory, because everything I am today, I earned in silence, and that's the best way. For those who wondered about me and what this guy is all about, maybe you didn't understand my words, but in this life, maybe in your own way, you'll understand it. But I can talk about incidents and stories and happenings and heartbreaks and triumphs and victories from now till kingdom come. But you know what? What I just explained might be an explanation for you and for the strong women out there also. It's not just a man, but this is from a man's point of view. And I just want to let you know that all I've been through, the true people who are in my corner, who are still with me, I love you all and I understand you. And when we talk, I understand a lot more than what you can probably comprehend. And because of that, there's a peace within me now that I've carried, but now that it's fully forged and developed, and I look to develop even more, it's a blissful feeling. Because at this particular junction point, at 62 years old, to get to this point and to maintain my sanity and to have all my wits about me intact in this world, the things that are out here to break us, that's a victory in itself. So I feel like an old retired boxer who has an undefeated record. Even though I had some black eyes and a tooth knocked out and a nose broken, it's an undefeated record. Because for me to be standing, and I know I speak for many of you out there, the challenges you've had to go through that the world doesn't know about, trust me, you're undefeated because you're still standing and you're still coherent and you still have tomorrow. You're still in the fight. You're not defeated, no matter how many scars that you have. Never forget that. I know this to be truth. Anyway, much love to you all. I'm going to come back with some lives tomorrow. And today was another hectic day as far as getting much stuff done, but I did. And even in the hectic, I'm calm on the inside. Like that calm eye of the storm. A Category 5 hurricane where it's raising hell all the way around, but in the eye of the storm, it's peaceful. And so when the eye goes over any part of the land, it's like the storm ended. So that's me on the inside. No matter what's swirling around me, I'm the calm eye of the storm. And I suggest you think that way too. Take care, everybody. Leave your comments. I speak from the heart. Peace.